Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Sunday. It's Sunday, the 7th of August, 2022. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to have you guys here. A lot of stuff going on in the world. I'll tell you, I might have made a little bit of a wrong call on things. I don't know, because it's just so hard to pick right now. It's so hard to know what the Federal Reserve is actually going to do in the upcoming months. Anyway, listen, guys, let's get started. Let's open up the charts right here. Take a look at what's going on. Flood is ravaging eastern Kentucky. Braces for more rain and flash flooding. We're seeing, it's just absolutely horrendous the amount of water that's pouring down through these hills there in Kentucky. And it can cause tremendous damage. It says those still recovering from deadly floods just a week ago in eastern Kentucky find themselves under threat of more heavy rain and more flash flooding. We've got river conditions right now that we don't typically see prolonged at this time of year over a large area. It makes the people in Kentucky more susceptible to flooding rain than they would normally be at that time of year. And so it says for most areas, we are looking at 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rain to occur in a relatively short period of time, within 1 to 3 hours to start to cause significant problems once again. It almost sounds to me like these are like, the kind of storms you see that build up these, what's called cumulonimbus clouds, or like what we used to call in the South, thunderheads, we used to call them. Big anvil-shaped clouds that go up into the sky and release tremendous copious amounts of moisture in a very short period of time. Now, another thing that's really, I find strange, is the 1,000 people trapped in Death Valley due to severe flooding. I mean, the two just don't go together. Death Valley is like the driest, hottest place on earth. And like they're getting these floods. It just, in around Las Vegas and stuff. It says, this is a picture right here of cars buried in debris and flooded buildings, and roughly 1,000 people were trapped as rainfall has caused substantial flooding in Death Valley. Come on, just weird weather phenomenon. This is what we're facing in this nation. And I can't help but think about these programs that the government had years ago to modify and control weather. And, I'm going to tell you what. These programs are pretty hard to hide. Like, they would classify these things because they could be used as a weapon system. So the government will classify it. But when you're putting in some sort of a new system like that covers like 100 acres or more, you can't hide it from Russian spy satellites, or Chinese spy satellites can spy on something that big. I'm talking about like the HAARP program. And then they can build versions of their own once they realize what, like, it's hard. This is the way it's been all the way through history. We've had this problem with spying on other nations. Whenever they develop a weapon system, they'll make it secret. And then you'll have spies coming in trying to steal these things from other countries, your opposing nations that are like your enemies will try to steal these things. This is why back during the Manhattan Project in the United States, when they're developing the atomic bomb, they used to have a saying, loose lips sink ships. And they're very quiet, and they kept it all very secret while they were doing the Manhattan Project. But still, even though you keep things secret, your enemies find out about it. And now what we have is Russia's got the nuclear weapons, so does China. They found out about it, and they got it too, You can't keep and it's the same way with weather modification things, like HARP, They'll steal it, and then they'll build their own, and then they'll use it against you. I'm not saying that's what's happening here. I'm just saying that I can't help but think of these things that they're out there that are unbelievable for us now, because we've never seen weapon systems like that used before. So it's unbelievable. It's hard for us to fathom that they can control the weather. Even though you can look at it right up on the internet and find out that they can see clouds and they can control weather by carrying particles aloft in airplanes and letting them loose into the clouds and stuff. Now, I think that these other programs like HARP are probably just as real. Now we're also facing these screwball weather phenomenons that's happening. Getting rain in places that normally doesn't get rain, absolute flash floods and stuff. It's ridiculous, but you have to stop and think. And now I'm not saying that's what this is. I'm just saying you have to stop and think for a minute. Let's move on. The revolution has begun. Here we go. The revolution has begun. 75,000 people in Britain are going to stop paying their power bills amongst all of this inflation. They just, think really what it's coming down to is people just don't have the money anymore to pay. They want you to pay, they want you to pay. On one end, they're taking your money out. Money out. And when the money out gets bigger than the money coming in, what are you going to do? And so this is 75,000 people, but I hear talk of a million or people or more that this could grow into. Where does it say here? It says a strike is coming as an inflation storm of high energy prices has obliterated household incomes. People in Britain are the most miserable in 3 decades as inflation is expected to hit 13%, and while the Bank of England Governor, Andrew Bailey, hiked interest rates the most in 27 years to tame inflation, risks are mounting of a recession. October 1st, the average household will pay £300, Great British pounds, a month for power. They can't afford that. That's like $450 a month for power. It says the Bank of England warned, couple surging power costs with negative real wage growth, and it becomes apparent households are being squeezed. This excludes soaring prices of shelter, food, and petroleum at the pump. This trend is unsustainable and could result in social instabilities. In other words, social unrest. In other words, people marching in the street, basically. It says Brits news outlet Glasgow Live said that the strike is similar to the action in the late 1980s and 1990s to fight against the poll tax brought by Margaret Thatcher. In protest, 17 million people refused to pay. United Kingdom, financial journalist and broadcaster Martin Lewis said this about the strike. I think I can categorize it as more accurately now. The big movement that I'm seeing is the increase in growth in people calling for non-payment of energy bills. Mass non-payment. Effectively a consumer strike on energy bills and getting rid of the legitimacy to pay that. We are getting close to a poll tax moment on energy bills coming into October. And it goes on to say here, and from what I've heard, don't pay. This is the movement. And the United Kingdom believes 6.3 million United Kingdom households will be pushed into power bill poverty this winter, with millions more feeling the stress of out-of-control inflation. And okay, that total thing that's going on right now over in Britain right now is coming to our shores very, very soon. And so is the unrest. So is the people marching in the streets who are going to say, I've had enough. I just can't pay this. I haven't got enough money coming in on this end to pay it going out on that end. And so they decide not to pay. And then if these companies and stuff, I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, they're switch you off. They might try that. They might try switching people off, which is going to infuriate people even further. Things like this could get out of control at a certain point, because what they've done is they've created an unsustainable situation in the system right now. And, I'm going to talk about something else. The Fed is about to ramp up the balance sheet shrinkage. It says it may get dicey. And this is where I might have I may have jumped the gun a little bit, thinking that the Fed has already pivoted this last week, and that markets have stabilized. Because the Fed is still pushing the pedal to the metal right now, and so I might have jumped the gun a little bit. And the Fed pushing the pedal to the metal. What I mean by that is they are going to start doing what's called quantitative tightening, which is balance sheet reduction. And that balance sheet of the Fed is what has built our system into what it is, with the financial markets going up and up year after year. The wealth effect. Remember all those stimmy checks that people were getting? This is what's helped build what we have right now, and why we have any economy left after COVID. I mean, COVID was an economy wrecking ball, okay? And so they're going to take that away now. So that's like removing the legs underneath the table. The table's going to fall over. And so I might have been a little bit premature. I mean, we could see some rather sharp reversals in markets and stuff. And it might be a little bit premature to say, hey, it's over and now things are going to go back to a risk-on environment where people are buying everything. Might be a little bit premature to say that, but we're going to go back to that risk-on environment. We will, but the Fed has to fully make their pivot first, and it might have been a little bit early in saying that the Fed's made their pivot when maybe they haven't yet, you know. But I mean, the thing is it's better to be a little bit early than a little bit late, too late, you know, and get stuck in dollars. Because you guys don't want to get stuck in dollars, because it's going to be bad for the dollar when it finally hits. So when the Fed finally really does make this pivot, you don't want to be all stuck in dollars. You want to have your gold, you want to have your silver, you want to have your cryptocurrencies by that point in time. And there's never been a better time, I don't think there's ever been a better time to buy gold and silver than now, while the price is down. And sure, it could go a little bit lower, but then again, do you really want to be stuck in dollars when when the inflation rate starts to double from where it is now? The real rate of inflation right now is well over 10%. It's probably up over 15%. It's around 17% from what I gather. The real rate of inflation. And if inflation does come down, it's only going to be disinflation. It's not going to be deflation. The only way we can get deflation is if the markets were to crash and freeze. And they're not going to allow that to happen, because that freezes the entire system and makes a non-functioning system. That's called Mad Max World, basically. Anyway, listen, I'm rambling on. Thank you guys for listening to this Sunday show. And we'll catch you guys Monday morning, depending on... there's always these holidays keep sneaking up on me anyway. But I'll be here fresh this week, fresh to talk about new topics and what's going on. And we'll catch you guys later. You guys have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.